The funny thing is that these two guys have trained together before.
Yeah.
And Hall has come out straight up and said, Strickland's a d-. What's up, Barnhill family? Welcome back to the channel.
Yo.
Guys, as you can see, clearly we're not at our normal set. We are traveling for a cousin's wedding, but we have a great fight this weekend that we have to break down for you anyway, so we brought all of our stuff. So, Nick, let's jump right into it. Uriah Hall, Sean Strickland this weekend. This is going to be a great fight.
Yeah.
Both of these guys are on a 4-fight win streak. These guys have trained together before. There's a little history there. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, it's a great main event, and Uriah Hall, you know, he's been doing pretty well in his last few fights, beating some pretty big names. And, you know, even though they've been unconventional ways of winning, you know, the Weidman thing, and, you know, Anderson Silva was kind of getting the better of some of those exchanges, he still got the W at the end of the day. You know, there's more than one way or a couple of ways to win a UFC fight, and he's figuring that out in his most recent fights. But Sean Strickland is one of those guys that has been around for a while, but seems to be really getting a lot of respect, not just from the guys in the back, but from everybody. And I think that's well deserved, because he seems like a really tough guy.
Yeah, this young man, he's only 30 years old, but he turned pro in MMA at 16. You know, had a tough upbringing as a child, dealt with some domestic issues, and sort of found his outlet in fighting. So I think that's a story that a lot of people can relate to, and he's relatable in that way to many fans and fighters alike. The funny thing is that these two guys have trained together before.
Yeah.
And Hall has come out straight up and said, Strickland's a dick.
Yeah.
I don't like this guy. He trains too hard. And then when you couple that with what we saw with Orlando Sanchez, the ADCC champion, in the gym, the heated fight that they had, and there was supposed to be like a grappling training session that turned bad, and then that on top of the fact that he said, look, I've trained with Chimaev, we've had some gym wars leading up to this fight. Something that keeps ringing in my head is obviously Orlando Sanchez and Khamzat Chimaev are two of the best people you could train with to prepare for a fight, but are they going too hard? And is Sean going to come into this with some undisclosed injuries? Because you have what Hall said, you have what's on video, and you have what Strickland said now that him and Chimaev had some wars. And my concern is that maybe Sean's been rattled in this training camp. Maybe he's been hit one too many times to the head too hard. Maybe he's got a lingering arm injury from what happened in the Sanchez grappling match. So I think it's going to be interesting to see as the fight unfolds if Sean starts to favor anything and if it looks like he's bringing an injury into the fight.
Yeah, and there's a few ways you can look at things like that. When somebody says they've started training smarter, not harder, that typically means that they can't put the same kind of work in that they used to put in, and now they're making an excuse for why they don't work near as hard. But it's a little bit different when they say that they're putting in like crazy wars, and there's a point of diminishing returns, right? If you go way too hard all the time in the gym, you obviously end up hurting yourself. You don't see fighters in any sort of fight that goes the distance or, you know, goes several rounds that doesn't leave with bangs and bruises. And even if you don't see them while they're in the cage or, you know, even after the victory when they're walking out, by the time they get to the back, they need crutches, you know, they need a little assistance. Their eyes,
adrenaline's worn off.
Yeah, everything starts swelling up. And if you're going through wars in the gym, you're getting damage inflicted on you. Like, there's the one thing that everybody tries to do in this sport is damage their opponents, and if you're doing that in the gym preparing for fights, then you're taking damage, and I think that can be a recipe for disaster. I obviously love hard training. The harder you can train, the better, but you have to be wise about it, and you obviously can't go get in fist fights every day in a training camp leading up to a main event fight.
Right. You want to train hard, but you don't want to do your opponent's work for them.
Exactly.
You don't want to come in already beat up.
Right.
Uriah Hall is a spectacular fighter. He's very athletic. He's been in the bigger fights. He's been in there against the bigger names. He's defeated the bigger names. But his last 4 wins, a couple of them have come in kind of strange ways. The Chris Weidman fight with the leg break, that's kind of a wash for me. It does still count as a TKO win. I understand that.
Yeah.
But for me, that was kind of a strange way to get your hand raised. Anderson Silva was beating Uriah Hall. That was a very lackluster early performance from Hall, and it took him a while to get going. Hall also has not had a first-round knockout since 2015. We know he's got a lot of knockouts. Yeah. He's got explosive power. He's got that fast twitch, super athletic, seize the moment type of striking, and he's been able to make it work for him. I think he debuted in 2011 or 2012. Yeah. He's a decade into this, and he's fighting in a main event, which is very impressive. But Sean, I think he's a young, hungry lion.
Yeah.
He's the favorite here. He's 30. Hall's 36. Hall seems to be at the tail end of his career. He's on the back nine, to make a golf reference.
Right.
And Strickland seems like he's trying to emerge himself as a contender. And I'm going Strickland to win this fight. I think he's going to come out of the gate explosive. He's got a lot of hype behind his name now, and he knows that.
Yeah.
A lot of people are gearing him up, and I think he's going to try to make something happen early. And that, coupled with the fact that I haven't really liked the way Hall has started his fights of late, makes me think that Strickland's going to inflict enough damage early to either get Hall out of there or do enough to tire him out and finish the fight later on.
Yeah, and the golf reference was accurate. We're in Savannah, Georgia, where people love to hit the links down here. There's golf courses everywhere you turn, so that was a good one. But yeah, you're right as far as Uriah Hall being long in the tooth. That's what they like to say. And Strickland, if he's one of these intense guys in the gym, he's an intense guy in the octagon. And we've seen that in his fights. But, you know, when there's a main event on the line and this is your biggest moment to date, and those guys, when they're intense, naturally just like, they're even – even keel is intense, then you know that they're just like
their normal is a 9 out of 10.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like a bomb ready to go off any time. And that's why, some people might say he's a bad training partner, or, he spazzed out and had that altercation that went kind of viral.
Yeah. Just with Sanchez.
With Orlando. And, to throw a spinning back fist at that guy is you're asking for a serious situation. That guy could have very well wound up in a street fight.
Yeah, and I understand Orlando Sanchez is not an MMA fighter, but he's also 300 pounds.
Yeah,
you know
and
what
if
I
he gets
mean?
his hands on you, it can be trouble. I don't care how many people you've beaten in the UFC. If a guy that's that big gets a hold of you and he knows what he's doing on the grappling mats, it's not just some big muscle bound guy. He's a grappler.
Yeah.
It could be problems. Obviously, anybody can win a fight in those types of situations, but I don't know. I think I am going to lean a little bit towards Strickland to win this fight. I know he's the favorite, and Uriah Hall he seems to me to be a little bit slow with his first round starts, and he was checking the kick right with Weidman, but Weidman should have never thrown a kick that early, that hard, that low.
Yep.
And Uriah Hall saw it. Everybody's been talking about low calf kicks and just attacking the lowest portion of the leg. And so that means everybody's aware of it. And the few fighters that do check kicks, Uriah Hall being one of them, was just using his instincts and his reflexes, checked a good one, and got a fair victory, but it was a little bit of a fluke, if you will. I hate to call it that, but that's what it is. It's pretty accurate. So I think you're right with Strickland coming out hot, coming out to try to prove a point, make a statement, and then throw his name into the title contention mix. If he can string together a couple more wins in there in the main event slots or co-main, or he winds up on pay-per-view things, then we could see him, becoming a contender.
Well, one thing we know is Israel Adesanya is looking for big names at 185. He's cleared out a lot of the division. He's looking for somebody to emerge themselves, and what we know is a spectacular win from either one of these gentlemen is going to put them into the title discussions, and that adds a new name. It adds some fresh blood. But that said, I'm going Strickland with the caveat that if he comes in injured, it could be a problem. If he's had too many wars in the gym, and if he gets a little too craving too early to get that knockout, Hall could make him pay for it with an explosive barrage. But I still think Strickland's going to get it done. Third round TKO.
Yeah, I think Uriah Hall, is one of those guys, the prospects of old that, he's one of those guys that never reached his full potential. I think that a lot of people assumed Uriah Hall was going to be a UFC champion. He never quite made it there. Now he's a little bit old to get there, in my opinion. Strickland, I'd love to know how those Chimaev workouts are going. I'd love a little insight on that. Maybe we'll get some footage or something like that later down the road, but I think I'm leaning towards Strickland, and I think it's going to be a finish. I think these guys are probably come round two. they're both going to be warm, and they're both going to be swinging for the fences. And I think Strickland's going to catch him and then get a TKO finish, round 2.
Nice call.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Let us know in the comments, who do you think is going to win this main event? Uriah Hall, the grizzled veteran, or is the up-and-comer Sean Strickland going to get a spectacular win and emerge himself as a contender? Guys, as always, if you've enjoyed the content, a like, comment, and subscribe is much appreciated. And if you listen to audio podcasts, check us out there as well. Have a great day, guys.
Peace.